These men are the best at what they do. Triathletes with motorcycles. A GNCC race takes 3 hours and covers almost 60 miles. It's a marathon run over an obstacle course. They have mastered pain. Now, for 13 races, they must contend with each other. The last man standing will be the 2001 Grand National Cross Country Champion. At Daytona, the world's largest celebration of motorcycles is underway, and part of that celebration is the opening round of the Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Suzuki. Hello everyone, I'm Larry Myers. Welcome to Grand National Championship Cross Country Racing on Fox Sports Net. In all, we'll have 26 weeks of racing. 13 of the weeks will be devoted to ATVs or all-terrain vehicles, and 13 to motorcycles. 1 week ago here on Fox, you saw the season opener for ATVs. This week, the motorcycles get their shot. Now let's bring in my broadcast partner. He is a world-class off-road racer himself and a former GNCC competitor, Mark Hyde. Mark, generally there is plenty of optimism in the pits. Riders all think this is the season opener, and I'm going for it, and I'm going to win that championship. But boy, for one team, Team Green Kawasaki, it's not that way on this opener.
Yeah, that's true, Larry. Kawasaki came in here with 2 riders they thought could give Shane Watts a run for the championship. But unfortunately, Paul Edmondson came in with a tender shoulder. He re-aggravated in practice today. And then also Freddie Andrews, he stepped off in practice also and hurt his back. So it looks like Team Green's hope are on Chucky Woodford if they want any shot at the championship this year.
Boy, that's a tough break for Team Green. But if we go back 1 year ago, that wouldn't have mattered. At that point in time, riders were allowed to throw away their worst 2 rides. The points did not count in the championship total, but the riders wanted to change that rule. They wanted all 13 rounds to count in the championship scoring. GNCC officials listened to them, and the rule was changed. Now, for more on that and the rider views, here's Jen Hildreth.
No freebies, Larry. That's the essence of the rule change that came into effect this season for the motorcycle portion of the GNCC series. In years past, riders could throw away or not count their 2 worst races. But this year, a rider's performance in all 13 GNCC events counts toward the point standings.
Well, you know, in past years, they counted like our best 8 or 9 events out of maybe 13. And you had to go real fast, you know, and you had to turn in at least 8 good scores. This year, they're going to count every race. So we're going to have 13 opportunities for a potential failure, and that failure is going to count. So we're going to have to be a little more consistent. We need to keep in mind that every lap counts, you know, finishing every race is very important. So say you break something on your bike, you better get into the pits just like NASCAR, get that thing fixed and get back out there and gather up some points.
You know, I think the GNCC guys did a great job with the scoring changes for the 2001 series. The strategy before, you know, is like, hey, I've got a bad race going, I'm going to go ahead and stop because I have 4 throwaways, and then that way I'm saving my body myself for the next round. You know, you try to get it well if he was a little injured. Here now, you got to ride a different idea. You're going to have to stay focused on your bike. You're going to probably take less chances because you know every race counts. I think it's going to make much better for a much better series.
Now, the Kawasaki riders certainly the first team to be affected by the rule change, but they still stand by their decision to make every race count.
I really fought to have all the races count this year, and it's already turned around and bit me, so. But, you know, I mean, I don't wish any bad luck on anybody, but, you know, it could happen to anybody at any time, so you just got to take it 1 race at a time, and hopefully I can get things back together.
You know, there's too many good guys, and with all the races to count, it's just so important to finish races. And last year when we had throwaways, yeah, it was good to keep the series tight, but I firmly believe it wasn't good for the sport.
Despite having both their riders sidelined for the opening round, Team Kawasaki can take pleasure in another off-season rule change, one that rewards race wins and podiums in the final points payout.
The point structure this year will allow us, hopefully, if we win races like we're supposed to, then we can crawl back from this by the end of the year and hopefully win the championship.
Last season, Shane Watts won the championship while riding 6 different KTM motorcycles with 6 different engine sizes. Now that's as much a testament to Shane's ability as to the brand. Watts led the series with 6 wins, but 6 other riders also found the top spot on the podium. This is a quality racing series where any one of the top 10 guys can pull out a win on any given afternoon. Now, Mark, this is the furthest south that the GNCC series will travel. Therefore, it's the only track like this on the circuit.
That's true, Larry, and normally Florida is a very hot, dry race for the guys. But this year a cold front came in, brought us some rain, so that's going to help the riders a lot, especially the guys from up north that aren't used to this type of heat yet this year, but since we don't have that, they're going to be in fine shape. In Okeechobee, this is the fastest track our riders are going to see all year. They've got a brutal motocross course, some real high-speed sections that are really going to tax the riders.
Well, to take a closer look at the racetrack, let's go to our man on the scene, Bob Walker.
Another one of the things the GNCC riders have to contend with is they're in 3rd and 4th gear coming down a long straightaway, whooped out, big braking bumps. They have to deal with obstacles like this tree branch that's laying across the trail. Once they get past that branch, they got another obstacle here that's sticking out that could take them off their bike. Another thing that we tend to forget about when you come to Florida is their native soil. It's swampland here in Florida. Look at the size of these ruts. They're knee-deep ruts in the muck. Look at this stuff. You know how much that weighs once it piles up on your bike? The fatigue weighs in after 3 hours of riding in this stuff, dealing with these ruts. It's just one of the things that these GNCC riders have to go through in a race.
No mud here, just hard, fast trails. That's what the riders will see when we come back, and they go racing. Welcome back to the opening round of the Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Suzuki, coming to you from the Kirton Ranch in Okeechobee, Florida. Mark, what is going through the competitors' minds as they make their way to the start line?
Well, they're trying to think, how can they stop Shane Watts? He won this series last year and just dominated. They've had a long, cold winter to think about it, and they don't want that championship going out of the United States again this year.
I think that's a good point. Bob Walker, our 3rd member of the broadcast crew, earlier caught up with Shane Watts. Here's what they talked about.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with 2000 defending champion Shane Watts, first international rider to win the GNCC series. Shane, tell me how it feels to finally win the championship here in the GNCCs.
It felt really good. It's like I should have maybe kind of won in '99, but I had a knee injury, so that stopped me that year. But last year I had a really good run. I had a great year, and to be the first international rider to win GNCC championship is a big thrill, and I'm really looking forward to this year's competition and going out and trying to get a 2nd title.
Now, you've won here the last 2 years at Okeechobee. What's it going to take to win 3 in a row here?
Just a good, steady race. Every year I've just ridden hard and strong, and it's come through. I've won sort of quite easily, so it shouldn't be all that hard, hopefully. Hopefully I'll have a good race. The dust may play into it a little bit today, but a lot of good competitors out there, and I can just try my best, and hopefully that will be enough.
Now, you've won 2 other championships prior to the GNCCs. What's it going to take to defend the title in 2001?
Well, just a good, strong year like last year. I can, just see what happens, and as long as I don't get injured or anything like that, I'm very confident of winning the championship again this year. But once again, there is a lot of really great competitors in the field this year, so we can only just wait and see, and hopefully I've done my homework over the break and I can come back nice and strong and get on a win streak.
Now, last year you rode 6 bikes to 7 wins. This year you've made the commitment to ride the 200 all year round. Is that going to change your strategy riding-wise or anything?
No, not really. It's actually probably going to make things a little bit easier for me because I really enjoy the KTM 200. It's my favourite bike for racing. Last year I had my goals to try and win a race on every bike in the KTM range, and I nearly achieved that. I got 6 out of 7 bikes. So this year I'm a lot better on the 200 for all conditions, so I should have better results for the whole year. So if that means making winning the championship easier, that's good for me.
Thanks, Bob. Well, the field is lined up, just about set to get underway. Before they do, let's take a look at this racetrack. Mark?
I tell you, Larry, what really jumps out at me is the palmettos, the sand, and the speeds. This track is going to be faster than anything we see all year. And those palmetto routes, they can just jump out and grab you at any time.
Well, the thing I like best about the Kirton Ranch is the variety of terrain. You know, they've got some fast stuff, some deep stuff, and that's what brings out the best cross-country racers in the world. Number 111, for example, he is one of the top motocrossers in the United States, Larry Ward. He's here just to test the waters. Wants to see how good he is stacked up against these guys that make their living going through the woods. We're just about set for the start to get underway. A dead engine start. When that flag goes, they have to kick the motorcycle, and they're off.
Well, Larry, it looks like we have Jimmy Jarrett, Josh McLeavy, and Robbie Jinks up front.
And what a fast first corner. They're just sweeping around the edge of that pine tree. And the first, it looks like they're all going to be there with a clean start, good clean start. Jimmy Jarrett with the hole shot.
Yeah, Jimmy's always been a quick starter. And then the other guys, a lot of the top players are right where they need to be. Shane Watts is up there, Mike Kardowski, and this is going to be a great track for Kardowski to, step up his off-road career. Another
motocrosser like where Larry Ward. Now, how tough is it? You can see these riders raising just a little bit of dust. How tough is it to ride into that dust and know where you're going?
That's extremely difficult. The one big thing that'll help the riders today, it's extremely windy out there. We have winds 25 to 30 mile an hour, and that'll really help push this dust out of the way for the guys.
And the guy out front with an opportunity to break away from the field with a clear track.
Yeah, Jimmy Jarrett, he's jumped out there. He's a decent motocrosser, so he should be in good shape here. But I really look for Kardowski to make a move on the motocross track. After all, he's a 4-time national champ.
Well, you spotted that one. Robbie Jinks is currently in the number 3 position. There he is in blue, and right alongside is Mike Kardowski, the motocrosser we were just talking about. Kardowski with a good inside line, and I would suspect that he should, as you pointed out, own this racetrack. Jarrett still out front, McLeavy running in the number 2 position, and I would think soon, and there is Kardowski. He certainly did clear his way around Jinks, and I would think that we are going to see him challenging first or second place before they get off this motocross track.
Yes, and Shane Watts, he's also moved past Robbie, and he is right on Kardowski's wheel. I tell you, if I was Mike Kardowski, I wouldn't want to have the off-road guy passing me on my specialty.
Well, now let's back up a second, because Shane Watts, who is currently in the number 4 slot, number 4 position, is a former Australian 500cc motocross champion. So I don't think, Mark, he's giving a thing away on this motocross track.
Yeah, I tell you, though, but winning Daytona 3 times is a little different than winning in Australia.
It's Jarrett still out front. He's maintaining his composure. The pressure now is on. Gone is the lead that he had right off the start. It's been replaced with pure pressure. And there goes Watts down low. He makes the pass on Kardowski and McLeavy. McLeavy gets him back as he powers around the outside. This is a dogfight that normally you only see in motocross. We'll be back with the exciting action. Hey, welcome back to what has to be the most grueling cross-country series in the United States for motorcycles, Grand National Cross Country Racing. Josh McLeavy is the leader. There's Shane Watts, and I thought Watts, rider number 1, the defending champ, was going to go around McLeavy.
Yeah, Josh got a little wide in that corner, got in the deep sand, and Watts almost got him.
This is the Fox Sports Net Moto Cam, and he's fallen in behind the leaders. McLeavy on the left, and there's Shane Watts on the right, and Watts goes around, makes the pass.
Boy, Watts is wasting no time at this race. Look at him get after it. He is just set to show these guys he's the number 1 plate holder.
And it looks to me like Mike Lafferty. It is Mike Lafferty, Millville, New Jersey, a former Enduro, in fact, the defending Enduro national champ. Well, the sand corner got the best of him. Meanwhile, at the head of the pack, wasting no time is Watts. He wants to check out of this thing.
And he's done that the last 2 years. He hasn't wasted any time.
Rodney Smith, a former champion, rider number 31. He's been injured all last year and just now rounding himself into shape. But Smith is going to be a factor, maybe not in this race, but before the series is over. Meanwhile, Watts continues to put distance between himself and the rest of the field. Jim Jarrett, rider number 7, he's close to the lead. And here comes Larry Ward, number 111, who is out here. This is the only race he expects to run all year long, but he's getting a taste of what it's like. And former motocross champion, Mike Kidrowski. We definitely have a field full of luminaries.
Yeah, I tell you, Florida always brings it out. With Bike Week being so close, there's a lot of guys, this will be the only time they ride one of these races all year. And what better place than Okeechobee?
There's Josh McLeavy. He was the early leader, but has now dropped all the way back to the number 6 position.
Boy, Shane Watts, he's really opened up a lead on these guys. And you watch him ride, see how he's getting out of the middle of the track, staying away from the rough stuff? It looks like he's kind of out on a trail ride.
Let's go back and take a look at Mike Lafferty biting the dirt.
Yeah, what happened here, Mike got in this corner a little bit hot, and he tried to get on the brakes and get inside there, but he's just going too fast, and in this soft sand, he just pushed it to the limit, and he got bit.
I suppose the front end could wipe out, the rear end could wipe out, the whole bike could wipe out before you know it in this terrain. Shane Watts is making his way around the course back onto the motocross track. And here is Larry Ward. He has already worked up to the number 2 position, and I think that's Mike Kidrowski right. No, it's not. It's not. It is Jim Jarrett right behind him. In 3rd place, Jim Jarrett, rider number 7.
And you know what's interesting? I already see on Larry's bike, he's missing a handguard. I don't know if that'll bother him throughout this day, but he's already out there tearing up stuff.
Now, at one point in time, the riders will be fueling in that area that you just saw Shane Watts go through. Here comes Rodney Smith, rider number 31, the former GNCC champ.
And that's Josh McLeavy right behind him. Josh, I tell you, he picked a really good person. If he can stay with Rodney, Rodney will get him to the front of the pack.
Steve Hatch in 7th place. This is a photo op for the fans that have shown up to watch the skills of these riders. It's a great place to watch from, but look how rough the terrain is. Folks, it's like this all over the racetrack. And the sandy portions of the course are, for me, I would think, would be the most difficult. There goes Larry Ward, number 111. You're right, that handguard is gone.
Yeah, and then with Jimmy Jarrett right behind him. And like you said, this track just gets so rough as the day goes on. Oh, you look at Rodney Smith, got a little bit wide there. I know one thing at this race, Rodney's using one of the new 20-inch front wheel tires, and that tire's a little bit wider, and he might have a hard time cornering with that thing.
Now catching up, and that's a very good point. Catching up is Mike Kidrowski, rider number 12. Kidrowski not get the best start in the world, but he certainly is making amends right now. There's Rodney Smith.
Yeah, Mike Kidrowski, I mean, last year was his first full year of off-road racing, and he learned a lot last year. And this year, he's putting to use everything that he learned last year.
Well, Larry Ward is doing his best to work up in this pack of very talented riders. Meanwhile, out front, Shane Watts has almost disappeared from the field. Will anyone catch him? Ward, Kidrowski, Smith, who will it be? Stick with us. Hey, welcome back as round 1 of the Grand National Championship Cross Country Series presented by Suzuki continues. There is your leader, Shane Watts. A grueling course, and I might add, Shane Watts is just tearing it up, Mark.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Shane. He just looks like he's out for a trail ride. He's not using a lot of energy, which is going to be important come the end of this race.
On the high-speed portions of the racetrack, the rutted out and whooped out sections, it will be interesting to see if Larry Ward, who is in 2nd place, can catch Shane. Do you have a guess as to whether or not that can be done?
Well, Larry certainly has the speed for it. His biggest problem is going to be, this is his first off-road race. Does he pace himself? Does he go all out till he catches Shane? Will he have anything left at the end? That's the questions that need to be answered.
Shane Watts is familiar with the trees and the ruts, and he also goes fast in the fast section. Meanwhile, working up to 5th is Steve Hatch, rider number 4, and right behind him in 6th place is Josh McLeavy, the one-time leader.
Okay, and here we have Larry Ward. You can see Larry, he's going really wide in these corners. He's staying out of the rough stuff, but I think he's losing too much time there by trying to avoid the bad bumps.
Now that surprises me. I thought that he would handle the whoops with ease and go for the utmost speed, which, you know, going a straight line is better to get between 2 points than going so wide the way he's doing. But you're exactly right. He is missing a lot of terrain, a lot of straight line terrain by going so wide. Let's go to our Fox Sports Net Moto Cam and follow some of the riders around this track and see just exactly what it looks like. There's Rodney Smith. We're right behind Rodney. How's his technique?
Rodney's looking pretty good here, but one thing that Rodney does a lot, he sits down. And on a track like this, when you're sitting down that much, it's going to beat you up by the end of the day.
Has to. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with the guy that's riding that motocam. He is going fast.
A guy that's going fast is Mike Kradowski. This grass track section is a place where he should really do some good. And notice on this section how wide Larry Ward was just a few seconds ago. Mike is right in tight there and not losing any time.
Mike Kradowski with plenty of a motocross experience, but relatively new to Grand National Championship cross-country racing. Last year was his first year. Look at Watts get through there. Watts just shifted his weight just slightly, and that motorcycle was like shot out of a cannon, and he just had no trouble negotiating. Oh, almost down was McLeavy.
Yeah, you see, Josh, he come in there a little too hot, tried to shave a little bit too much off that corner, and he clipped that corner marker.
And working up to 8th place, the number 13 machine of Mike Lafferty.
Yeah, now we're back to Mike Kradowski. We just saw Shane go through this section. You notice Shane, he just seemed a little bit smoother. Mike, he seems to be attacking more, but he's not making the progress that Watts is.
Randy Hawkins, former national enduro champion 6 times over, has turned his talents to the GNCC field, and it matters not to Randy what he's racing. He's going to give it his all. Hey, it's time now for the Suzuki Rider Spotlight.
Hi, I'm Randy Hawkins. I'm riding for Team Yamaha on the 11 4-stroke Yamaha 250. You see my rig behind us, my teammates, we're fired up. You're going to see a lot of blue in front this year at the GNCCs, and especially this number 11.
Steve Hatch, Team Suzuki Off-Road, riding the number 4 Suzuki, running the 2001 GNCC series. Looking forward to changing this number plate from a number 4 to a big number 1.
G'day, this is Shane Watts here. I'm from Australia. I'm the defending champion for GNCC. Hopefully here for a good race today. I know I've got my KTM 200. It's going to be working really well, and things should work out well for me. I hope hopefully be on top of the podium. And at the end of the day, I want to keep the number 1 for the year 2001.
Well, the first round of pit stops are underway. Shane Watts gets fuel and a pair of goggles, and this is always interesting.
Yes, it is, Larry. You'll notice the guys, we haven't even raced an hour yet, and they're already stopping for fuel. Because remember last year, the Kawasaki guys probably wish they would have done that.
They should have, both of them. Edmondson and Andrews ran out on lap number 3, and they never got to complete the race. Meanwhile, Steve Hatch, rider number 4, out on the motocross track, and he'll be heading in for fuel in just a short.
Oh, and here we have the top guys coming in. Here we have Larry Ward. He's in second place coming into the pits. It'll be interesting to see how he handles this pit stop because he's never had to do one of these in motocross.
Yeah, obviously, he does not have a professional crew like the professional guys do. And there goes Mike Kradowski. Kradowski has already fueled. He's gotten around Ward, and now Ward is going to give chase. Oh, you know what? This is going to be interesting. These guys are old adversaries from the National Championship Motocross Circuit. This should be fun. Shane Watts says fun. I'm having fun. Where is everyone?
Boy, that's the truth, because Shane is just really dominating today's race so far. And I tell you, the thing about Ward, he worked so hard to get around Kradowski in this dust, and then to lose it that quickly, that's got to be heartbreaking.
Well, you see how it's done. Hatch comes in, one guy takes his goggles off, another one puts a new pair on him, while his mechanic, meanwhile, has stuck that quick full tank down into Hatch's tank. He gets fuel, and he's gone. Okay, Kradowski is in second place now, and we're looking for some kind of a duel with Ward. Let's see if it happens. And Smith trying to kick his bike. He had a little problem there.
Yeah, he did. Rodney, he doesn't like his bike to idle, and when he comes into pit, sometimes it stalls on him if nobody can keep that throttle running for him.
Scott Summers working his way around the track. Scott is a 9 times off-road champion, but the last couple of years, things have not gone his way.
Yeah, Scott's really struggled with injuries the last year and a half. I know he's just using this race to get back in shape. Here we are back in the pits again. We got Chucky and Michael trying to get out of here. Oh, I thought Michael was going to get by him there first, but he's having some problems here. Sometimes in these hot conditions, you dump the fuel in that fast, and the bike tends to vapor lock and stall on you. And I'll bet you that's what happened to Mike right there.
Well, Mike is back on the track, and there is Barry Hawk, a former ATV Grand National champion.
Yeah, Barry, he's won the ATV title 7 years in a row, and he's made the switch to bikes. He's riding Pro Class full-time, and he's just doing a great job for Team Yamaha.
You want to talk great jobs? How about this guy, Shane Watts? The first round of pit stops are history. The riders are headed back to the woods to do it all over one more time. Stick with us. We'll bring you the action. Hey, welcome back to Grand National Champion Cross Country Racing. I'm Larry Myers along with Mark Hyde, and that guy, number one, is Shane Watts. He is booking it through traffic. Man, that guy is really hauling. And here's Jimmy Jarrett, currently in the number 4 position.
Yeah, Jimmy's one of the young up-and-comer kids. But I tell you, here's the guys I want to watch today. Look at Kardowski and Ward. I think these guys have seen each other a time or two before.
Kidrowski on the yellow machine, Ward on the red one. They are old motocross adversaries, and they're battling in this track. And all the way from France is David Fatine.
Boy, I tell you, that really goes to show you how much attention the GNCC series has drawn. We have people from all over the world at this race.
Well, they're cross-country riders in their own country, and they want to come to America to test their merit against the best in the world. Steve Hatch is one of those.
Well, I tell you, you watch Steve through that last section. This track is really getting rough. You can see Steve's bike just dancing underneath him in this rough stuff.
Back to the battle of the motocrossers. There goes Kidrowski, Larry Ward right behind. I wonder if Kidrowski knows that that's Ward behind him.
Oh, you can guarantee he knows he's behind him.
Whoa, what happened there?
Oh boy, that lapped rider, he got out of shape just like we talked about Steve doing, only that guy didn't quite have the skill that Steve had, and he about took Josh McLeavy with him.
He almost did. McLeavy darn near center punched him.
Yes, and here we have Jimmy Jarrett. Like I said, Jimmy's got to catch somebody right now because he's by himself, and he needs to work up and get with somebody, get back with this lead group, so maybe they can run down Shane Watts.
I tell you what Shane Watts is doing right now that impresses me is he's coming on these lap riders and he gives them plenty of room. He's not going to make a mistake, get in there, tangle with them, be taken out, Mark.
You know, that's one thing the Florida track gives these riders. You have a lot of room, and Shane's very smart about that. You don't win 6 races last year by making stupid mistakes. He's using the track, taking what comes to him, and he's doing a fine job out there today.
Now you can see riders have cut a portion of the track out that was extremely muddy. They're finding new ways around it. That's well within the rules. You have to stay within so many feet of the original course, but they are making the most of the room available, and Rodney Smith shows us just how that's done. He is currently in 6th place.
Yeah, Rodney, he's never really done good for it. He got a good 2nd place last year, but up until then, he's always been around 4th, 5th, 6th, so this isn't one of his best tracks.
Yeah, he's a wily veteran. Won the championship on 2 occasions as Josh McLeavy continues his way around this course. And we'll go back and take a look at that incident that almost threw him on the ground. Mark?
Okay, you can see this lapped rider up in front of him. He got in that whoop section, just got out of control, did an instant left turn, and he was supposed to be going straight, and about took Josh with him. Josh did a great job to save that.
Well, the arrows say straight, don't they? They say nothing about a left-hand turn.
I know they do, but boy, that's got to get his heart racing a little bit.
I know my heart's racing a little bit at this exciting action. Kidrowski out front, he's in 2nd place, and Larry Ward close behind in 3rd, rider number 111. Shane Watts puts one more lap in the book. It looks like he's riding into a waterfall there. The hose is designed to keep the dust down, but that could make it a little slick. Here's Jim Jarrett. Just a second ago, you said he needed someone to race with. Do you think he wanted Hatch to catch him?
No, he did not, but as long as Steve's there with them, maybe those two can work their way up to this group.
Mike Kidrowski and Larry Ward. I think Ward has closed the gap.
Boy, Larry is just doing a fantastic job for his first off-road race of this caliber.
Meanwhile, 48 seconds in front of the field is Shane Watts. He's just picking his way through the lap riders. Man, that guy is smooth.
Yes, he is, and the nice thing about a track like this, as rough as it is, a lot of those lapped riders are extremely tired, so they're not going to give him much fight.
And Larry Ward has worked into 2nd place, getting by Mike Kidrowski. I'm impressed with Ward doing so well in a GNCC event. Not with his motocross ability, we know that that's there, but to think that Ward can come out here, ride with these guys, and do as well as he is doing, man, that is impressive.
I tell you, Larry, I noticed from reading my cycle news this winter, he has been riding some off-road races in the Citra Series, so he kind of has an inkling of what's going on here today.
Well, he obviously has that. He is going plenty fast. Riders going through the pits. There is Alan Rant. He was pointing. My guess is, oh, and a tumble right in front of him. Here comes Mike Lafferty and almost runs a member of the KTM pit crew down. I think Alan was pointing and saying, hey, there's water over there. Grab it. And Mike says, You want me to hit that person? Kept right on going. Hey, we'll be back. This is Getting Good. Hey, welcome back to the opening round of the Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Suzuki. We're working on lap number 4. That guy doesn't appear to be working at all. That's Shane Watts, the Grand National defending champ, and he is way out front now into the grass track.
I tell you, Larry, on the grass track is where you want to watch this guy to go to work. He is a former world champion, and this is what their tests were like over there, so he can ride a grass track like nobody else.
I think he can ride anything like nobody else. I have not seen him put a wheel out of place. Meanwhile, here's that battle for second place. Mike Kidrowski has gone by Larry Ward once again. They are having a seesaw battle all over this racetrack. So currently it's Kidrowski out in front of Ward. He's in second place and fairly close behind number 111. And that, of course, is Larry Ward. Shane Watts through the trees, and this course is really torn up at this point. These guys have really got it rough, but guys like Shane seem to ignore those potholes and just go on about their business.
I tell you, Shane doesn't ignore those potholes, and neither does Rodney Smith. Those guys from years of experience, they take notes mentally in their head, and so when they come around on the next lap, they can miss the stuff that most of those C and B riders fall into.
And they remember it from lap to lap?
Oh, you have to. Riders at this level, they have to be able to do that. If not, you're not going to win races.
Now Steve Hatch has exactly that in mind. He has blistered the course, as have all of the other riders that are out front or anywhere near Steve Hatch's caliber.
Oh, and speaking of top riders, did you hear Larry Ward's bike there? I think he's been taking on a little bit too much dust today. You could hear it sputter in there, and we'll see if he can make it back to the pits to get that thing fixed.
High drama here at the opening round, and here is drama. It's the battle for 6th place. Mike Lafferty has it, and here comes Rodney Smith. He wants it.
Yeah, Rodney's starting to move back up. Like I said earlier, he wasn't having that good of a race, but now he seems he's getting on a charge. He's moving up front. He's caught Michael in a grass track section, and Rodney, he's one of the better grass track riders around.
Now, Rodney finished 8th in last year's series. Don't let that number 31, confuse you. That's an old racing number he had, and he chose to take that number, but he was actually 8th in the series, and it was only because he was injured that he finished down that far. Meanwhile, Jarrett is having a great ride, but it hasn't all been that way.
And you can see some of his problems from earlier in the day. Here he is catching one of those palmetto roots we talked about, and boy, that thing threw him on the ground in a heartbeat.
But he survived that and is currently running in 5th place. Meanwhile, back in the pits, Shane has taken on gas for the final time today.
Yes, he has. And the nice thing with Shane, he's been out front. He hasn't been in the dust. And like Larry Ward, he's having big problems. You can hear his bike here. That thing is just not running right. He's been following Kwiatkowski all day. He's taking on a lot of dust, and he's suffering right now.
Yeah, he is not even in the pits, and Kwiatkowski is out, so Kwiatkowski was able to take advantage of that situation. Now, Bob Walker is also in the pits. Let's go to him for a report.
Guys, I'm down here in Larry Ward pits. Larry's coming in right now. The former motocross champions had a rough day, but he's still in 3rd place. Earlier in the day, they didn't bring enough gas. They had to scour the pits to get extra gas. They're refueling right now. They're putting new goggles on him. We're waiting to see. He's having some other problems with the bike.
Mark, what's your best guess?
I think just Larry took on too much dirt, and like most of your top riders, they'll use covers over their filters, and they can pull them off as the day goes on, like pantyhose, and that way you don't have to get in this situation that Larry's got himself into.
Well, Larry Ward is here on a lark, but he's a racer, and you can tell now, even though he has an inexperienced crew, and you know he was here for fun, that he is upset. He wants to do the best he possibly can. Back out on the track, Shane Watts is still, what can we say, kicking butt? Is that a good word?
Oh, he's doing it today, and like I said, he has dominated this race. If he can pull it off today, this will be the 3rd year in a row he's done this to this group.
And Steve Hatch, rider number 4, works his way now up to 3rd place with Ward sitting in the pits. And for Hatch, good news.
That's a great news for Steve. Steve had a kind of an off year last year, a lot of things going on, but this year, if he can get started off right, he's one of those riders that can really build off some momentum.
good momentum. Speaking of momentum, they have lost all of theirs in the Larry Ward pit. Let's go down to Bob Walker. He is standing by right in the middle of that whole mess, and let's see what he has to say.
They're still trying to work on Ward's bike and get it going out there. He's still in the top 10, even with the changes they're making to the bike. Larry, what happened out there?
It's just really dusty. There's a lot of riders, and the filter, I pulled the skin, and it's still really dirty. It just won't go anymore.
The bike's not seizing up, is it?
Well, it sucked a lot of sand that whole lap. There ain't no way it's going to finish, but they're trying to put a new filter in there. I'm going to try it.
You see, that's a racer's mentality right there. It ain't no way it's going to finish. It's full of sand, but I'm going to try it. You know why? It's not his bike. That's why.
Yeah, with a lot of these top guys, they'll take chances like that because they don't have to fix them. They don't have to pay for them. And I like Larry. He was kind of getting ready there. He had new goggles. That's one thing when you have a problem. Well, you got guys working on it. You need to do everything possible. So when that bike's ready to go, you are out there. You got your fluids in you. You got whatever you needed to make a good charge from here to the finish.
Well, Larry's on a borrowed bike. He has borrowed gas, and he's going to hit the track just as hard as he can because it really matters not where he is. He still thinks he's going to win. Hey, stick with us. We'll follow the saga of Larry Ward. Welcome back to the final lap of Grand National Cross Country Racing. This is the first event of the season. It has been an exciting one, and we have more excitement yet to come. But Shane Watts has dominated.
Yes, he has, just like last year. But you know what? Forget Watts. Look at Larry Ward. I can't believe where he's come from to catch Jimmy Jarrett.
Ward is currently in 5th place. Jarrett is in 4th. He really got fired up when he left the pits. Now his bike seems to be running all right at this point.
Yes, it does. You know, like I said.
Look at him around the outside. He's going to take the measure. Oh, he gets sideways. Jarrett, I think, hit him and moved him over about 2 foot. Now, if Jarrett thinks that's going to scare Mike, it's not going to bother Larry a bit. He come back now, got him on the inside, grabbed a handful of dirt, spit it in his face, and says, "Take that, kid."
Boy, Larry is impressive. I can't believe the way those two were battling on the grass track. I think Larry took that time in the pits to recharge his batteries, and he is going for it.
Well, he's in his home turf when you're talking tracks like that. Home turf to this guy is a checkered flag, and it's not too far away. That's what he's looking for. We're talking, of course, about Shane Watts. Wow, this guy is just an incredible racer.
Yeah, and he just made it look too easy. I mean, the other guys out there, they have got to do something to stop Shane Watts. They can't let him have races this easy, or it's going to be a short season for those guys.
Well, I'd suggest maybe a log chain through his rear wheel at the start. That might help.
It couldn't hurt.
And the checkers is out. Shane took it, even though I didn't see it wave. He is the champion of round number 1. And look at this battle. Jarrett and Ward are still going at it. Jarrett got back around Ward. Time is running out. Ward is in 5th right now, trying to catch Jarrett for 4th.
Yeah, but they're coming to Larry's strong point, that motocross track. If Jimmy can hold him off there, that'll be a feat.
Okay, Kedrowski passes the line to finish in 2nd place.
I tell you, that was a great ride for Mike. After what he went through last year, he deserves a ride like that today.
Here comes Steve Hatch to finish in 3rd place. Yeah, that's Kedrowski's best ever finish in GNCC history. Back out on a motocross track, and Larry Ward is all alone. Unfortunately, something has gone awry with his plans.
Yes, it did, and probably what happened, he probably got too aggressive trying to get around Jimmy. He should have waited for the motocross track, but you got to give Jimmy credit. 4th overall, first race of the year. That's fantastic.
I think, Mark, you called that one exactly right. Larry Ward should have been more patient. Here he is, finishing 5th. All in all, though, that's a very, very good ride, and I know when Ward stops to think about it, he's going to be happy, but right now, I would guess he's a little ticked at himself. Hey, Rodney Smith got around Mike Lafferty.
Yes, he did. You know, that's a good, strong finish for Rodney. I know he wished he'd rode the beginning of the race like he rode the end. Hopefully, further on down in this series, he can pick up this pace and take up where he left off. And Mike Lafferty, if he can get in here for 7th overall, and there's Mike as we talk about him, that'll be a great ride for him. KTM's Mike Lafferty, he's the defending National Enduro champion, and this isn't his strong suit.
Nope, he goes fast through the woods in spurts, and this requires 100% attention at all times. And Smith crosses the finish line. Good ride, Rodney. This is Fox Sports Net, and when we come back, Bob Walker will join the winners on the victory rostrum, so be sure to stay with us. Hey, welcome back. We'll join Bob Walker and the victory rostrum, who has garnered our winner, Shane Watts.
Well, you did it again, winning round one here in Okeechobee. Tell us how you did it today, Shane.
Well, I had a really good start. My KTM 200 just fired straight off the line and just hooked up and off I went. And after not so far into the race, I got in the lead and I thought, well, hey, let's just run with this and see how we go and just put the hammer down. With the, my KTM 200, MSR clothing, Scott goggles, FMF pipes, they all work so well. And so much thanks to my sponsors, and just went and ran away for it, I suppose you could say. It's a great way to start the year.
Well, it's a little unusual seeing you go wire to wire winning one of these like this. How'd it feel being out in front the whole time? You're not that dirty.
No, that's one of the bonuses. I don't have to clean up so much during the after this race, but no, that's what I want to do. I just want to get out in front and try my best, and it was great. My conditioning coming into the race probably wasn't so good, and this is part of my training program, and I'm just going to get hopefully stronger and fitter and faster from here on.
2001's definitely going to be the year to catch Shane Watts in the GNCCs. We'll keep an eye on him next week at Macon.
Yeah, well, before he gets to Macon in just a few days, he will take on the Daytona Supercross and try to qualify in the 125 class. Take a look at the results. Larry Ward, I think, doing an admirable job, finishing in 5th place. On down the line, there's McLeavy, rounded out his day in 9th. He was the early leader. Doug Blackwell, factory Yamaha rider. And coming up in 25th place is Fratine, the man from France. He ran as high as 6th place, but ran out of gas on the last lap. Back to Bob.
Well, year two, you're off to a little bit better start, Mike. I think we're going to start calling you the GNCC kid instead of the MX kid. The off-road kid, the new nickname for him. Mike Kudrowski, 2nd place here at Okeechobee.
It feels pretty good. A good way to start off the year and everything. We're looking forward to going to Georgia. Last year everybody says, well, you'll do good here, but just wait till Georgia. So I'm really looking forward to Georgia because that's pretty much what all the races are like and everything. And, Watts beat me at the first World Off-Road Championship, and he beat me here, so I'm going to have to start doing something about that.
Have you changed your strategy at all this year now that you have a year under your belt?
I think I've just learned more and gotten used to the pace of the race. And there's still, like today, I learned a couple things. I need to be out in front right away. I can't mess around. And I think beginning of last year I was messing around because I thought I got 3 hours and those guys were gone, and it stayed the same. They were minutes in front of me before the 3rd lap. So there's a couple things I'll work on, and this year's definitely going better. I came out here last year with the 7th, and I got beat way bad, so hopefully be better in the start of the year.
The off-road kid is making a run in 2001.
Here are the standings, and they, of course, reflect the order in which the riders finished, this being race number 1 of the series. Let's go back on to Bob Walker. He's with 3rd place finisher, Hatch.
Steve Hatch, 3rd place, 2nd year in a row here at Okeechobee. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels great. I was definitely one in the top 3 today. Every race counts, and I want to make sure to be up here on the podium every race and be in the opportunity to win. And today I was about 7th, I think, after the first lap, and just picked them off one at a time. I've been training really hard. FMF Suzuki's working great. All my sponsors, MSR, Scott, everybody, Dunlop is really, really, really behind us. And Team Suzuki with Rodney Smith, Mike Kudrowski, and myself, they really helped me in the motocross section and picking it up in the high speed. So looking forward to this race for a long time. Had the arm pump operation that definitely helped today, and I felt strong, felt fast all day, and looking forward to Georgia. Get back in my stuff, technical and a lot of trees.
Well, the Team Suzukis were definitely running fast here today. We're going to keep an eye on them as we go through the season.
Grand National Championship cross-country racing, finally getting the due that they deserve. Television, we have a lot of rounds coming up here on Fox Sports Net. Hopefully you'll join us. For Mark Hyde, Bob Walker, and Jen Hildreth, I'm Larry Myers. So long, everyone.
He still got it. Well, you the one that got it yesterday bad. And that wraps up round number 1 of the 2001 of GNCC Series. Roxy takes the win.